He's going to turn it up. I don't think you probably don't know. But my name is Norma Braxton. I'm co-chair of the Southside Improvement Group Plus One. There are 7 neighborhoods in this group. One is East Shore. Are there any members from East Shore here? Raise their hands. Laurel Park. Any members from Laurel Park here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Panhandle Annex. Anybody from Panhandle here?
Yes.
Okay. Park Plaza. Park Plaza. Anyone from Park Plaza? And we have Park View. Park View is up at the front desk, I know, taking registrations. Pullman. 2 people. And the plus one is Hilltop Fairmead. That's where we get the Southside Improvement Group plus one. The plus one is Hilltop Fairmead. The first section that we're going to do tonight is for the mayor. Looks like I have to do this off the top of my head. I know we had it all written down. We're supposed to be really organized and prepared, and it looks like we're not doing it here tonight.
That's what happens.
When you're too organized and too prepared, it's okay. For the city, the mayor for the city of Richmond, we have 3 people running for the office of mayor. We have Tom Budd, who's sitting to, raise your hand, Mr. Budd. Everybody knows Tom Budd. And next to him is Uche Uwahibu. Put your hands. And next to him is Mr. Bates. Everybody knows Councilman Bates. Okay? I want to thank them for coming and participating in the candidates night. Everybody should have received a slip of paper that shows you the procedure, the format that's going to be used for tonight. So if you'll refer to that, one side is the mayor, and the reverse side is for the city council. We have to do that because the city council, there's a lot more people running. What we're going to do is have them introduce themselves and tell why they're running for the office that they're running for and what they would expect to accomplish if they are elected. After that, we have some prepared questions that was prepared by the members of the Southside Improvement Group. We will ask those questions. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer those questions. They have 2 minutes for the introduction, 1 minute to answer the questions. And when that is completed, then we will have questions from the floor. When we have the questions from the floor, we're asking everybody to come to the mic at the center of the room. And we ask you to be respectful. This is the candidates night. Remember, you're in a church. Okay? Thank you very much. Just wanted to remind you. Some people forget sometimes. So thank you very much. So with that, we'll start on my right. We'll start on my left. Mr. Budd. Introductions.
Okay, my name is Tom Butt. I've been on the city council for 19 years. And I want to, okay, thank you. And first of all, I want to thank the moderators. I want to thank Myrtle for arranging this so that Uche is in the middle. Otherwise, Matt and I would come to blows. So I can tell you that my decision to run for mayor, contrary to some allegations you might have seen out there, was really a last-minute decision. I only made the decision on Friday morning. And I went down and filed on Friday morning, and here it is like Tuesday night, right? So it was really a last-minute decision. And why did I do it? Because I believe Richmond is going in a direction that is the right direction. Richmond is healthier, it's cleaner, it's safer, it's quieter, it's greener than it ever has been before. Just last year, our homicide rate was the lowest it's been in 33 years. This year already, both violent crimes and property crimes are down about 25%. I think we're doing a lot of things right, and I think that it's something that we want to continue. Despite the fact that we've made huge strides in many areas in Richmond, this city council has been saddled with a reputation for discord and unrest that is really unprecedented. And I think that it's something we really have to do something about. It is It is putting the entire city and city government in danger, and we have to change that. And I think that I have a history on the city council, a history of working with people, that I think I can be positive. I can help make that change. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Moro, for hosting this event, and thank you to Easter Hill United Methodist Church for opening their door to us. As most of you can tell, I speak with accent, so get used to it. You're going to have a mayor with accent. I've been asked these questions over and over, why am I running for mayor? I think he gave you some of the reasons why I'm running for mayor, because I think, unlike what he said, we are going in the wrong direction. If you want to call 35% unemployment among the youth as going in the right direction, then something is wrong with our leadership. If you want to call 11% unemployment overall as heading in the right direction, something is wrong with this community. So why am I running? I'm running because you can tell that we are going in the wrong direction, and I have the requirements. If you want to use the word requirement, if you want to use the word credential, you look at my credential and ask yourself, who is the best person suited for this job to move us in the right direction? I know for a fact that we need new leadership, we need new direction in Richmond, and this is the right time to do that. For over 60 years, two folks I'm running against here have been in power. At some point, you have to ask yourself, who is actually responsible for what's going on in Richmond? It's okay. And we have to be real. We're having a conversation here. We have to be real. Do we want to continue in that direction? Our schools are in bottom. We spend $1.6 billion in our schools, and yet Richmond schools are struggling. Is that the right direction? Tell me it is, because I know I have two boys. If we continue in that direction, I know my boys will not go to school here. So don't tell me we are heading in the right direction. We need change in Richmond, and I know for a fact that the unemployment rate that we have in Richmond, we need to address it. We need to bring somebody that has that background in business to address those issues. And that's why I'm running for mayor. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Nat Bates, your city councilman for the last 35 years and twice your city mayor. I wanted to indicate that it's a little difficult getting a schedule together to be here tonight. I was involved in trying to secure a $3 million investment in the city of Richmond, but fortunately the gentleman was gentle enough to postpone it and give us another day. So obviously I'm here. But I'm also here to make sure that Tom Button knows where the Southside is. Because that's one of the famous situations we've had. Let me just say that Richmond, as you've seen in the last 7 years, has been tremendously dysfunctional. I mean, we have people thrown out of the council meeting for sneezing. We have recesses like we're in the kindergarten. And this city is not going to move anywhere until we get proper leadership that shows respect to our business community, to our corporate government, and to the small businesses, and to the citizens in this community. And that's primarily why I'm running, to provide some leadership. We don't have leadership up there today. And you know it and I know it. All you have to do is just look around and watch the city council, how they function. So that's one primary reason I'm a candidate. There are so many problems in this city. We got to deal with the Hilltop Shopping Center, the center receivership. We have to look at what we can do with Doctors Hospital. There's a tremendous amount of work to be done. But you can't do it if you don't have a leadership from the city council, and especially from the mayor. We just got to notice that we didn't get any money for the from the state in reference to the crime. Well, one of the reasons we have a mayor that don't even know where Sacramento is at. So I'm a candidate to know how to get around and know how to get things done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to our questions. I want to add, I think everybody has a notice that let them know that the Southside, I told you how many councils make up the Southside. I wanted to mention the fact that we are nonpartisan. We don't endorse candidates. We do candidate nights because we think people need to know who's running, what they stand for. So when you vote, you can vote with knowledge. So thank you very much for coming out. Now we'll have our questions. Naomi Williams, one of the members of Southside, she's the co-chair. She will ask the questions of the candidates. You will have 1 minute to answer the questions.
Good evening. My name is Naomi Williams, and I'm the co-chair for Southside. You can't hear me?
Now that's better.
Oh, okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Well, I'm not used to these electrical things, so. This is to the candidates for the mayorship. This is number one. And both of you guys, all three of you guys can answer these questions. So, number one, what do you think is the role of the mayor, and how do you plan on accomplishing this role? Tom Buck.
Well, the city charter defines the role as the mayor as being sort of the political conscience of the city. And the mayor only has one set of powers that is different from council members, and that is appointing boards and commissions. The other one is presiding over meetings. And the appointing of boards and commissions is very, very important, but it's kind of a low-profile type of thing. But it really sets the tone of how the city's being run. I think that the thing that's really come into high profile lately has been the job of the mayor in running meetings and presiding over meetings. And I am not blaming the current mayor for the problems we're having. As a matter of fact, I think she's doing a great job despite a lot of challenges. But at this point in time with a new mayor, I think the most important thing that new mayor can do is set a new tone of the way meetings are conducted.
Thank you. Remember, we only have 1 minute, so don't try to put the whole history in.
Long minute or short minute?
Short. The exact minute. Okay, the next question. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. I'm rushing it. Come on. Your question, same question. I'm glad I'm not running for anything.
I think Tom has given you the overall charter of what the mayor's role is, but we need to focus on leadership for a second here. The mayor is the face of a city, is the face of this community. So in terms of leadership, that's what businesses look at before they show up in your communities. Who is the mayor? How friendly or not friendly are you with the business community? At the same time, we want to look at our schools. What's the relationship between the mayor and the school board? How is that relationship affecting what we're doing in Richmond? As a mayor, you have to be involved in everything. I understand that we have a school board, but you can't be a mayor that ignores the schools. If you ignore the schools in your community, then you're not leading. You might as well go and do something else. So leadership is very broad. It's not just isolated to sitting in the council and arguing with folks. You have to be out there engaging the community. That's what leadership is all about.
Well, as Tom indicated, the charter mandates to a large extent what a mayor should or should not do. However, it doesn't preclude the mayor from being assertive, taking the leadership, getting involved in all kinds of businesses that are coming into your city and trying to attract businesses coming into your city. If I'm the mayor, I'm going to be very active and involved. I'm going to know what's going on. I'm going to reach out to the business community. Anyone that want to come into this city, I'll be there to talk to them. We have individuals coming into the city today, nobody knows who they are. We had Apron down here, had a tremendous problem. Nobody walked down there and said, hey, can we help? That's not the way you do as a mayor. You are the leader of the city, and if you're not the leader, then you don't want to accept that responsibility, then don't run for mayor, run for the city council.
Thank you. Second question. Richmond City Council meetings have become the laughingstock of the entire country, not just the city. If you are elected as mayor, what will you do to bring civility and decorum to the council meetings? Sorry, you left the mic, Mr. Bates, Councilman Bates, but I'll start with you first.
Whether it's a city council meeting, whether it's a pastor in a church, a board of directors, a school, or any organization, it all starts with the leadership. The way you conduct yourself as a leader dictates to a large extent how others are going to follow. If you're disrespectful to others, they're going to be disrespectful to you. One of the things that Richmond ought to start doing is dress appropriately. Many of our council people look like slobs. If you dress appropriately, that set a message that indicates that you're important and you have respect for yourself. Coming in there with t-shirts on and half shirts and laying around that's not setting a good example as a leader of the city. And that's the first thing you do, set a decorum where you take the leadership to make sure everybody have the opportunity to say what they got to say and don't shut them out. And that too will be productive and hopefully collectively make a decent city council.
Thank you. Jay?
I was wondering where you were pronouncing it.
Did I say it correctly?
You did right.
First.
I think we all understand that the city council and the mayor should be working together. We all understand that. But I'm really happy to hear Mr. Bates say that it's leadership. I think he's echoing what I've been saying throughout this community. We need new leadership. You cannot make a change from the same people that created the problem. If you're a corporation, you're looking to clean up your image. You don't hire from inside, you go outside and hire somebody. That's what businesses do. We have to do that in Richmond here. We want to clean up the mess, we need to hire somebody from outside that is not part of the mess. That's how it starts, and that's the beginning of how we move this community forward. I definitely agree with him. We need new leadership, absolutely. But it can't come from none of them because they've been involved in this for over 60 years together. We need to be real. We need to be real. If we're looking for change, it cannot come from the people that created the mess in the first place. That's all I have to say.
Well, you know, I can tell you that I am not a polarizing individual. I can talk to the Sierra Club, I can talk to Chevron. And we have an opportunity, again, I'm not casting any aspersions on anybody who's on the city council now or our present mayor, but I can tell you that we have an opportunity to press a reset button. We have an opportunity to start all over again. And as mayor, I would be fair to everyone. I would allow everybody in the city to have an equal opportunity to speak or to have access to the mayor's office of the city government. And at the end of the day, I would not put up with some of the things that happen in that city council chamber right now. We just don't need it. They have to stop, and that's a good time to just set a new trend. Thank you.
Okay, stay there, stay.
Stay Tom. You're next.
Oh, okay.
What do you see as the most important issue facing the city of Richmond? And what actions will you take to address this issue?
Well, I can tell you that if you know, for the last 8 years, Richmond has done a biannual community survey. And each one of those surveys asks people in Richmond what are the most important issues to them. And they change a little bit year in and year out. But the past one was done just a year ago, actually, in 2013. And 100% of respondents was that crime and crime prevention was the top issue. Next at 99% was streets and roads. Next at 98% was the environment, clean air, clean water, a healthy environment. And then right behind that were parks, community centers, recreation programs, that sort of thing. And these are my priorities. Those are the priorities of the people based on the survey, and they're my own priorities. I think they're the most important issues.
Okay, thank you.
If you take a look at my campaign poster here, you can see some of those issues that Councilmember Bott just discussed. It's obvious what the problem is in Richmond. We cannot twist it around. The number one issue has been economy, jobs. We know that people need jobs in Richmond. If we have good jobs here, good paying jobs, then everything else we can work on. I think most of us focus only on Chevron. We cannot focus on Chevron. Chevron is not going anywhere. So let's get that out of the way. So let's focus on building a community that is very diverse in terms of attracting businesses so that folks can have good jobs here. I absolutely believe that we need to have a clean environment, absolutely. That's something I intend to work on, to make sure that our environment is clean. But we have to have jobs in Richmond. Folks need jobs here. Our youth need jobs here. So as long as we are serious about attracting businesses here, I think we're fine.
Well, I'm just astounded that nobody's mentioned the budget. We have a $141 million
Deficit.
expenditure and $134 million revenue. We're $7 million in the hole. You talk about all these other programs all you want to, but if you don't have the money, you can't do anything. All we're doing is kicking the can down the road. And until we get our budget balanced, there's nothing we can do. You can promise, they may promise all they want to, but you've got to deal with this $7 million deficit.
That's right.
And until we do that, there's a pipe dream. And that's the first order of business. It's just like your household. If you don't balance your budget, you can't do anything for your kids and anyone else. You maybe pay your rent and note, but that's the extent of it. Balance your budget, get physically responsible.
Say that, Ness. The public elects council members to represent them on the council. Explain what you will do as mayor to include all the members of the council in making decisions and policies for the city.
Well, again, it started with leadership. It started with respect for yourself, and it started with respect for others. We've had retreats before, one-sided. You have to get with your council, sit down collectively, get a good leadership team to bring us together. Focus upon what is important in this city instead of the personality and the individual projects over here. Look at what is in the best interest of the total city. Not just what's going on in Point Richmond, what's going on at other places. Be respectful of every community that you have. And when you have that kind of cohesiveness and respect for each other, then you can move as a team. It's just like playing football. You can't have one person over here doing this and another one with that. You got to look at the end goal of what you're trying to achieve. I've been an athlete much of my life when I was young. I know what teamwork is all about, and that's how you accomplish things.
Thank you. That concludes questions from the panel. Go get that. I'm an old person, you have to forgive me.
Well, the question is, what will I do as mayor, correct? Yeah, this is what one of the first things that I will do. I know that I probably will get some slack on this by saying this. We need, I appreciate you saying the budget is in the survey, but we need a complete, comprehensive audit in Richmond. That's one of the things I would do as mayor. So if you don't want to hear that, then you better resign. But we're going to do some audits here to get the house in order. That's how you start getting the budget in order. Mr. Bates is doing an audit. So that's number one thing we do. Now let's focus again on the resources we have in Richmond. We're struggling in raising revenue. That's really one of the biggest issues here we have in Richmond. We only have revenue coming from one side. We need to have a diverse revenue stream that is coming into Richmond. We need to diversify that. One of the ways we do that is to expand the resources we have. That's the Port of Richmond. I intend to do that in full time, to expand that port, to make it an economy for this community. Thank you.
I envision a mayorship a little differently from what we've seen in the past. I think the trend in the past has been for the mayor to be at the center of everything. The mayor makes all the presentations. The mayor shows up at all the events, makes the speeches. And one thing that, I'll give Nat credit for this, he talks about a team. You know, if you have a team, you don't send the quarterback out to run every play. And one of the things that I really look forward to doing is to using everybody on the city council to do some of these things that traditionally have been done only by the mayor. I want to spread the wealth, I want to spread responsibility, and I want to see every council member involved in these things. That's one really different way that I would operate the office of the mayor.
Thank you. Now it's time for the public to have an opportunity to ask some questions of our candidates. We're asking you to line up at the microphone for Zachary Harris, the microphone in the center. If you want to ask questions, each candidate will be given an opportunity to answer the question, so it doesn't do you any good to direct it to one person.
And make sure it's a question.
Beg pardon?
Make sure it's a question.
Oh, yes, we
not
don't.
a comment.
No. The candidates make the campaign speeches. We're asking you to make questions, right? Okay? All right. So everybody's lining up.
My name is Jackie. My question is to Tom Butt, Councilman Butt.
Oh, wait just a minute. Wait a minute. We're not ready to start. We want to let you know that they have 1 minute to answer, and each candidate is going to answer your question if they'd like to. Thank you.
My question is to Mr. Butt. In order to be a good leader and lead the city as mayor, I'm looking at temperament, and I've observed your temperament. Do you think that you can change or calm your temperament as a leader of this city and calm down a little bit? I'm concerned about that. Thank you.
Can we start or do you want Well, the fact is that I'm actually a pretty calm, easygoing person, but I'm a human being, and I lose my temper about once a year, and I admit to it. But I've been at this for 19 years, and I can count probably a dozen times in 19 years that I've lost my temper enough to throw something or walk out, and I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to do it again. But by and large, I'm not a polarizing person. I get along with a lot of different types of people, and I'm always accessible, and I intend to stay that way. Thank you.
Do either of the other candidates want to answer that? About yourself?
Well, I enjoy my position on the council, and I don't ever recall losing my temper. Never. I smile, I make jokes, and if you're in this business, you better learn how to have a sense of humor. If you don't, you're going to have a lot of heartaches and medical problems as well. So I get along with everybody. I even get along with Tom. We share food almost every night. We have different philosophical positions, but I don't hate anyone. I get along with everyone. I get along with Becca. She sits next door to me. I get along with the mayor. We constantly talk. So I don't see myself as having enemies on the council. We have difference of opinion. and I enjoy my job. Thank you.
Well, I'm fairly calm. I think most people that know me here have, there are some folks here I've served on boards with. I'm a fairly calm person, so I'm in control of my temperament. So I think what Councilmember Bates just said, it makes sense. You have to have some humor and not take things too serious. But we are here to do people's business, and we have to take it serious and make sure things are done right.
Thank you.
I guess my heart is heavy because in all of your presentations, I did hear not one of you mention Doctors Hospital and the condition of our medical community here. And one of the things I hope you continue to remember, we the people elected you to represent us, not yourselves. How do you plan? And the civility of the council is just downright unacceptable. How do you plan to determine the value and priority of agenda items so that they go according to the value and what is of importance to we, the people, the community, not what you want?
God, that was a question, not a comment.
Mr. Bates, are you going to answer? Yeah.
Well, I share your viewpoint, but you got to understand, and all of you need to understand, that we are Richmond City Council. We are not the state assembly. We're not the county board of supervisors. We're not the hospital district. We're not the school board. Each one of these bodies, especially the hospital, has its own elected body. So we're sympathetic. We try to do what we can to lend assistance. But our primary responsibility is the city of Richmond as mandated by the charter. We've given money to the schools. We've done other things to try to enable them to continue to operate, especially in the area of Richmond. But we can't be salvation for every district who has their own funding mechanism, their own tax base. And we, at $7 million deficit, we can't even take care of ourselves. It's like you as a family. You can't give money if you can't take care of your own family.
Thank you. Mr. Mahoney.
I think this question is a serious question, and we need to take it serious. This hospital should never be closed. When we talk about leadership, if we are giving our tax money to the school board, we should have some expectations. If we are giving our school board our money, our tax money to the hospital, we should have some expectations. We elect some of the board members there. We should ask for a certain level of expectation from them. That's the bottom line here. Now, let's be serious. I know that hospital have been badly managed. We need some accountability there. There's no doubt about that. But we must, as a community, come together and say, we need that hospital standing. That's the responsibility of elected officials here. We need to come together and say, meet with the supervisor and say, we need to keep that hospital going. I understand there was a lawsuit filed today to keep that hospital going. So we need to make sure that hospital stays open.
I'm not sure whether the question was about Doctors Hospital or about setting the agenda. So I'm going to address setting the agenda.
That's a good one.
There has been a lot of disputes about moving things around in the agenda to accommodate various groups. And we do it all the time. If there are a bunch of young people in the audience for an item, we try to move that up to the front so they can go and go to bed. If there are a whole lot of people there for an item, we try to move that up so they don't have to sit there for 6 hours before we get to them. And, setting the agenda, right now it's the responsibility essentially of the mayor and the city manager. And I think they do the best job they can. When I'm mayor, I would try to set some rules, that we try to set the agenda up so that those items that need to be addressed early because there's a lot of interest or a lot of people there, that we do that and then we move on.
Some months ago, the city manager's office called together and organized a retreat to try to deal with some of the problems of the city manager, city council. And at that retreat, the leadership of the retreat asked for all the members of the council to commit to respecting one another. At that retreat, 5 of the members of the council said they would agree to make that commitment. 2, including Councilman Bates, said he would not do that. Okay, now I'd like to ask, was that just simply a rejection of the leadership of the city manager, or do you somehow think that the council can function when 2 of the members state that they will not give respect to the other 5?
Now, Mr. Butt, we're going back this way this time.
Well, I took the pledge and I believe in it. I have to say maybe I've broken it. I think that at least one time since that I sort of went off on the mayor, and I apologize for it. But I still believe in it, and it's something that I try to do, and I believe for the most part I carry that out.
Mr. Uwahilo? Uwahilo?
Well, since I was not part of the pledge, I have to say that if you make a pledge, we expect you to follow it. So if you are saying that someone in this audience did not follow the pledge, then again, this is part of that leadership we're talking about. If you met to address some issues as a leader, you should be able to follow those agreements. That's really an expectation we have in our leaders. So I understand there are too many factions in the city council. That's why we need a new leadership there that will bring these folks together. It looks like they're playing football with each other instead of solving the people's problems. So let's bring somebody who will be the better referee there. That's really what we need.
Well, I was at the meeting along with the other 6 council members. A pledge means that you're making a commitment to respond in a certain way. But it doesn't mean anything if people don't follow through with it. And if you watch the city council meeting, I've had difficulty even getting a word to say. I put my button in to speak, I'm ignored. When I try to speak, I'm shut down. I'm interrupted. You see it every day. Councilman Bouzet has the same problem. So all that pledge, Mr. Parker, your former candidate for mayor, all that didn't mean a thing. It was just a rhetoric, a lot of yakety-yak. What you do is show and demonstrate the respect. I don't have to pledge anything. Neither do you. You just come to the council meeting, show respect for each other, and that's the way you get it done.
There you go.
My name is Diane Harper, and I'm from the Iron Triangle. And I was riding in my car listening to KGO when they talked about perception. And all of you have quoted how far we've come and how we're improving. However, it was absolutely embarrassing to hear this commentator speak about how not to go to the Iron Triangle, and to be sure you don't come to the Iron Triangle at night. I'd like to know what each of you would do to change the perception of our city so that others, when they hear this information coming over the airways, they're not afraid to come here. So I would like a response from all of you.
Mr. Bates,
Well, you start by setting an example. How many of you live in Iron Triangle? How many have seen me at Costco and seen me at Food Co?
How many know where the Iron Triangle is?
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
most of them don't know, huh? Well, I think you set an example. I go to Food Co. I'm always downtown in the Iron Triangle area.
You always say.
I shop there. They got the best produce in the town. You know, I don't go to Safeway. That's in El Cerrito. I shop where I live. My taxes go to the city of Richmond. And I enjoy shopping at Food Co. I see some of you maybe occasionally, and sometimes I'm a little tired. I get the little cart and ride around, but I'm there. And I think you set an example by doing and not talking about it. Show up down there and visit. I go to several places in the area. I eat there at Liberty on 14th and McDonald's. I'm there.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know, I grew up in Washington, D.C. So I've seen the worst of the worst. So when I moved down to the Bay Area 12 years ago for law school, Iron Triangle was one of the first places I drove around. So during this campaign, I've taken a lot of my volunteers to Iron Triangle. Some of you may have seen our door hangers. We're everywhere here. So again, the image of a community is all about the leadership. That's what the survey that Mr. Bott were talking about earlier. 6% of folks in this community think that Richmond has good image. In fact, great image. 6%. The survey was done by the city of Richmond. So we have to change the image by changing leadership. That's where it starts. You can't change image by just talking about it. It all starts with who's your leader and where do you go from there. Iron Triangle is a beautiful place. I've been there over and over. What we need to do is begin to provide opportunities for folks in that community. That way they can be part of this community and grow it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of you may subscribe to my e-forum, which I started actually about 14 years ago. And one of the reasons I did it was to try to tell stories about Richmond that are different than a lot of the ones you read on the paper or you see on TV. And I repeat a lot of those, but very seldom do I run anything that's derogatory of Richmond. I try to pick out stories that build Richmond up and not tear it down. And over the years, I've supported a lot of projects in the Iron Triangle that are actually changing it. You know, starting with working on Atchison Village, working on the Richmond Greenway, which is the southern border of the Iron Triangle, working with all the new housing projects that have popped up along McDonald Avenue, Nevin Park, and the reconstruction and resurfacing of McDonald Avenue. You know, all these are building up a part of Richmond that has been underfunded and has gotten it hasn't gotten the attention it should have over the years. But it is coming up. There's a lot happening in that area. We need to continue to concentrate on the good things that are happening and positive, and send this message out about everything else good that's happening in Richmond, because it is. Richmond is changing, it's changing fast, and it's a future that I think we're all going to be proud of. Thank you.
You might as well stay up. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, Antoine Claude, community activist. I really want to know, as mayor, the projection is principle before personalities. And how can you, individuals as mayors, separate the principle from your personality and other people's agenda? Because what suffers when you do that is a whole vast community, right? This is kind of deep because our community is separated, it's segregated, and it's suffering on certain sides. So if you're taking all your energy on your personal interests on one place, the whole other side suffers and becomes detrimental.
You know, Antoine posted a great thing on YouTube. It's called Tom Butt the Gangster. If y'all haven't seen it, take a look at it. I appreciate that. But he did it in fun, and we're good friends. And I think that if I understand his question, I'll say what I've already said, that over the years I've been a person who will talk to anybody, sit down with anybody, work with anybody. I'm one of the few people on the city council We'll meet with the Sierra Club in the morning and meet with Chevron in the afternoon. Why do I do it? Because they all have something that Richmond needs, and they're all important. Everybody's important, and you got to make yourself available and accessible to everyone, and you got to be fair to everyone. You got to realize that as mayor, as city council, you represent the whole city. You don't represent a part of the city. You don't represent a certain demographic. You don't just represent the people who believe like you do. You have to represent everybody, and that's what I've tried to do over the years.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wahima?
Let me just make it clear, I'm the only candidate here that is not taking any money from any interest group. I'm not taking any money from any corporation. So that goes straight to answer your question, Antoine. I intend to represent Richmond, not interest group, not black or white or Latino, but Richmond. That's what we need here. We need a leadership here that focuses on growing this community, creating opportunity for folks that are on the bottom, bringing them up. I'm the only person here that have worked from the federal level to the state level and local level. I've worked with White House Business Council in growing up local economy. That's what we need here. We need somebody that has the experience to do it. You can't talk about balancing your community without providing opportunity. That's what we need in Richmond. There's no way you can balance the economic gap without having better schools, providing better education for our kids. So there are serious issues we have to address, but we need to start addressing it by making some changes.
Thank you.
I didn't know, Antoine, you were a philosopher, coming up with all these fancy questions. Let me just indicate that I've sat on this council for 35 years. I've seen mayors come and go. And one of the things that I would do is that I would make this mayorship more inclusive. We need to reach out, not just among a little small segment of the community, but we need to reach out and have more people included in the decision-making process. This mayorship and this council does not belong to the 5, 7 of us that sit up there. We have to reach out. And one of the things I like to do, I like to get the young people. We have never had the young people involved in learning and educating themselves about the political process. Willie Brown and I talked about this just several years ago, and what he's doing is that getting a group of young people to educate them and get them involved in boards and commissions, teaching them how, if they want to run for office, what you have to do and so forth. We have to be inclusive, and we have to include our young people.
Stand. I've been employed with the city of Richmond for about 27 years. And at this point, I have never seen the level of lack of integrity in our government process. So I want to know, as one of you become mayor, what are you going to do to restore public trust in the city of Richmond? Because if you look at what happened at the Human Resources Department, what's happening in the investigation with the Housing Authority, what's happening with the library, and all those other departments I just haven't put in the newspaper yet. I want to know, what are you guys going to do to restore public trust in Richmond?
Well, Ms. Plummer, you've been at the forefront.
That's right.
And you know more about what's going on than anyone. And I share your viewpoints, and I'll tell you this. We have problems at City Hall. We have housing director, and I don't want to get on that personnel. There's just lack of integrity. There's lack of accountability. We got a housing authority just falling apart. And Mr. Budd seemed to think that everything is okay. It started at the top, the leadership. If you have strong leadership that are taking care of business, then you can have other people accountable. We have too many gaps and holes in individuals that's just not doing their job, frankly. And sad to say, but that needs to be some reconsideration. Either people get up and do their job, hopefully they find somewhere else to go. But you're right, Mrs. Plummer, it's bad up there.
Okay, because due to time, we have one more person to ask a question.
Still got 2 more.
We got 2 more to answer this one and then 1 more question.
This question is addressing exactly what I said earlier when I stood up here. I said we need to have a comprehensive audit in Richmond. You cannot talk about integrity without addressing who is doing what. That's the beginning of dealing with the question you asked. We have to do that in Richmond. We have to figure out who's doing what in Richmond. Because as we all know here, the housing director, none of these council members.
When there's a problem, there has to be an investigation, it has to be done right. Sometimes it takes a while to get around to these things. You know, the Human Resources Director was mentioned. You know, at the end of the day, the Human Resources Director went away. And that's what a lot of people wanted to see. You know, they wanted to see it happen instantly, but, you know, you got to work through the process. And Ms. Plummer, I appreciate the role you've played in bringing some of these things to light. Thank you. Okay.
A lot of people keep raising the concern about the lack of civility at the council. If you are the mayor and you have a council person who does not respect your rulings, won't ask questions through the chair, which the rules require, or just don't respect you when you make a ruling, if you feel taking recesses is inappropriate, what would you do to handle that type of situation?
I'm not going to tell you that taking a recess is inappropriate. I think it's a real challenge for a mayor to run a meeting when there are people there who don't respect the process. And the mayor only has a couple of tools to try to get a meeting back in order, and taking a recess is one of them. And a lot, you know, people sometimes pick on that as being inappropriate or not the right solution, but I can tell you we've got some real problems on the city council, and I'm hoping personally that some of them will go away after November.
I actually agree with Tom on this. Some of these city council members have to go away. And as a community, you have an opportunity to elect some new folks here. This is the best opportunity you have. You have 4 members that you can bring in new. This is your opportunity to do that. If you feel like things are not working well, let's make the change. So that's just the bottom line. As far as taking recess, that's part of the process. But we need to have a better rule. And we need to have some expectations from members that they will respect the rules. After all, they're the ones that make the rules. So if you're not respecting the rules that you made, then it's probably time to get rid of those people and bring in some new folks. We have to take this election very serious, because whatever we do in November could determine what happens to Richmond in decades to come. So we need to take it really serious and make some changes here.
Well, the first thing I would do is I would hire Godfather, where is he at, and Antoine,
over there.
And they would be my hitmen. Anyone that got out of line, I'd say take them in the back and straighten them out. No, I think that your respect for that individual, pulling them aside, working with them individually and respectfully, that's the way you get things done. You can't shut them down. If they got something to say, allow them the opportunity to say it. Says, would you wrap it up, please? Would you come to a conclusion, please? But this business of throwing people out and shutting people down and having the city attorney to rule out of order and so forth. Once a person has a floor, parliamentary procedures say that person has the right to conclude. You don't interject your opinion. You wait till the person concludes. The mayor always got the last word. So why interrupt someone in their train of thought? And the way you conduct yourself, in my opinion, is the way people are going to respect you.
Okay, this is the end of the mayorship.
Your speaker's not working.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is the end of the mayorship section. We're going to give you 5 minutes to a recess where we reset up tonight. And I want to thank the oh, they just have a minute to wrap up. Thank you, Chief. Say that from over here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all have a, wait a minute, you guys have,
It's not over, Ellen.
wait, we have a minute to wrap up.
Excuse me, you have a minute each to wrap up. So, 1 minute.
We started with Mr. Butt, so let's go with Mr. Bates, and then we started the first round with you. So we'll do the end round with Mr. Bates.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. I'll be very brief. As I indicated, I've been your city council member for 35 years, a couple of years as your mayor. You know me. Some of you know me better than I know myself. It's all about trust. Who can you trust? Who's been working for you on your behalf for a length of period of time? If you like what I've done, obviously you'll support me. If you don't like what I've done, then you'll support someone else. That's just the same democratic process. So I trust that my record speaks for itself in fighting for the entire city of Richmond, not just a small segment of Richmond, but the total community. And if I'm elected mayor, that's what I intend to continue to do, to represent each and every one of you, even those that perhaps don't vote for me. But if I'm your mayor, you are my constituent, and I will represent you just as hard as if you voted for me. So I thank you, and God bless you, everyone.
This is my first debate, and you all have seen me for your first time. So this is good. I appreciate you coming here today, but let me make this very clear and simple. These two men here have had their chances to lead. For over 60 years, they have had their chances to lead. It's time we move in a different direction, as Rebecca said, there's no doubt about it. This is the time to move Richmond in a different direction. I like them, I don't dislike them, but they have served us, and it's time we move in a different direction. We need somebody here that can be a mayor that will be out there working hard. I will not be a mayor that will be out there fighting in the city hall every minute. I'm going to be a mayor that works for Richmond. That's what we need mayors here for. They need to lead, and I intend to lead. All I'm asking is for trust me and give me your vote. I've not taken any money from any interest group. I'm here to work for you. I have the background, I have the experience to get this job done. So we need that new direction. I trust that you will do that and do it right. Thank you.
Well, there are a couple of themes we've explored here tonight. One of them has to do with where do you see Richmond going? What are your priorities? How are you going to take Richmond there? And you know, I stand on my record. I think you all know what I stand for there. The other one is how you're going to clean up the dysfunction in the city council. And that's something that's on everybody's mind. And I can tell you, if you've watched me in and out, I've told you I've lost my temper a couple of times, but I've never picked a fight with another city council member, ever. And we've had some disagreements, but I've never picked a fight that's led to the kind of dysfunction we see on the city council right now. And that's the kind of mayor I would be. I would be fair to everybody and try to run a city council meeting where everybody gets to say what he or she wants to say. And if they get off onto another subject or something like that, then I would bring it back around. But that's the way I run meetings, and that's the way I do it with people. Thank you.
Okay, now you're ready for your 5 minute recess until we get everything.
When you speak, so that everybody can hear you. Okay, are we ready? We'll start with Mr. Ramsey.
Good evening and welcome to this forum. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight. I think it's critical that each and all of us know that the future of Richmond is something that we all should take an interest in. I'm glad that you're here to listen to the candidates tonight. They're all fine individuals, and I think it's an opportunity to hear where they stand on the issues. Once again, my name is Charles Ramsey. I'm a candidate for Richmond City Council for a full 4-year term. And the reason why I'm running is because I believe I bring leadership and experience to this position. I've been in Richmond my entire life. I grew up right down the street of 4710 Overend Street. So I have a deep history, a large knowledge, and an understanding of what the challenges that confront this city. I think first and foremost we have to look at the fiscal health of the city of Richmond. Right now the city of Richmond has a $7 million structural deficit. They need to have someone who understands how to address those issues, raise revenues, as well as deal with potential cuts. That's just the reality. And I think anyone on this council running for this office needs to have a clear understanding of those issues. It's a serious matter. Public safety is another area that we always have to remain vigilant on. I'm committed to that. As a school board member, we've seen almost an elimination of expulsions in our school district. Kids are staying in school, suspensions are down, and we've made our school sites safe, especially after the gang rape that took place at De Anza High School in 2009. So I have a lot of experience with that. I'm sorry, at Richmond High School. I apologize. That was a slip. Thank you for listening. I'm glad everybody's paying attention. Everybody knows that it was at Richmond High in 2009 in October. So I appreciate you. I was thinking about all the improvements we've made to De Anza High School, the safety systems that we have there. So I will leave that to you. I look forward to your questions tonight, and I do appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the committee for putting this on. Really is a pleasure to be here, and really is a pleasure to see all of your faces. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I graduated from high school with honors, excelled in sports, and one sport in particular was basketball, so I was able to not only excel academically, but athletically, and so I got a scholarship to one of the country's top HBCU colleges, Florida A&M University. Graduated with honors there, went on to get a master's degree later on. I work right now, I've worked for the county right here in Richmond for the last 14 years. Worked 3 years at Rubicon before that. So I've been working with this population for a very long time, and it really is an honor and a pleasure. You know, working with the children that I work with, you know, I see the challenges. I see the challenges that they have, first of all, emotionally and behaviorally, but I also see the challenges that their families have, their parents, their grandparents, everybody who's taking care of them. I see them suffering because of a lack of resources. And it's these resources and this very reason why I ran the first time in 2008 and 2010. I ran because I felt that, you know, if I can get a position on a policy level, I can really do something to increase the quality of life for these kids and their families and their children. In 2010, I made promises to you. I made promises that I wanted to see Richmond healthy and thriving and full of vibrancy. And 4 years later, if you look at my record, you will see that I kept those promises. What's good? What's good, Richmond? Our homicides are down. Crime overall is down. I've been defending our homeowners because it's important that we have stability and no blight in our city. We have more job opportunities. Our streets are paved. We have crosswalks. We have sustainability. We have so many good things going on, and that's the reason I ask that you vote for me so that we can continue to see more and more good in Richmond.
Hello, I'm Donna Powers, and it's so nice to see a lot of the faces that I recognize from years ago when I was on the council. I served from 1992 to 2000, and I did have the pleasure of serving with real gentlemen and ladies in the 90s. Councilman McMillan is here. He's definitely a gentleman, and he's someone you don't mess with because he can dress you down with words. He doesn't need to yell or distract. He uses words. Anyway, while I was on the city council in the 90s, I had the pleasure of finding some things to do, and one of them was the Rosie the Riveter Memorial. When I was walking precincts, I ran into women who had accents from the Midwest. I'm from Oklahoma originally. and we'd get to talking, and they'd tell me that they came to Richmond during the war years. I love history. And these women told me that, you know, it sure would be nice if we had a statue or something. And so I said, I'll get right on it. And so I did. And it ended up being a park, Rosie the Riveter National Park. And then it turned into Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historical Park. Sometimes I jokingly say that I and Tom Butt got together and we had a baby. Okay, Tom, and Tom knows what I'm talking about. When I left the city of Richmond, we had just gotten the designation for the national park. But then I left the city. I had obligations to the family to take care of my mother-in-law, my aunt and uncle, and a bunch of relatives. Women do that in their 50s, and that's what I did. And I turned my baby that I had birthed over to Tom, Councilman Budd, and the rest of the council, but I knew that his leadership on that particular issue, that he would foster it through to the end.
I'll catch you later.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Henry Washington. I pastor here in the city. I was born and raised all of the 47 years of my life in this city. Over 70 years ago, my grandfather came to this city and became the first African-American policeman. My uncle served a 4-term council seat in this city. The Washington family has a legacy in community service. It's in my DNA. I'm now ready to be a catalyst for a new Richmond.
Yes.
Over the past several years, I've exercised my passion for Richmond by working on anti-violence, especially gun violence, educational reform, and also engaging various members within our society. This city is becoming known for a lack of consistent leadership, as well as having order in our leadership. The city is also becoming known as more reactive than proactive. I desire your support, that I might represent you on the city council. If I'm in office, I would like for you to believe that you're in office. I've worked with law enforcement with the ceasefire, and when I say law enforcement, RPD, Sheriff's Department, the courts, parole, probation. I walked Central, North, the Southside. I've walked the streets where blood can't be washed off of the sidewalk. So you know what we do then? We pour white paint on it. I desire a new Richmond.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess I'm the whipping boy, so, you know, I don't have a problem with it. My name is Corky Bouzet, and I want to start off with some misnomers that are out there. People are saying that I'm running against J.L. Myrick, the young man sitting next to me, because I'm afraid of the 4-year seat. That is so far from the truth, it's unreal. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you got 35 years of experience here, never been elected there. So therefore, I'm not putting the young man down because JL and I work together very well. But the problem is, there's a RPA group here that has to have a change. When I was, the 4 years that I've been on this council, I've done some things that nobody else has ever done. I've been in this room, Cutting Boulevard was never paved. You heard Tom Butt talking about McDonald, but not Cutting Boulevard. The lighting out here was never done. We've done that. Councilmember Bates and myself went to Washington, D.C., to China and Japan, and brought back a $300 million project that's never been done in the city of Richmond, which is going to employ people for the next 5 years plus. And we are putting it here in the city of Richmond, and this is the kind of leadership you need. And then most of all, people don't follow the rules that they're trying to say that I don't follow. We go into the rules of Rosenberg's Rules of Order. You heard Councilmember Bates speak to it. He said, once you have the floor, you are to be left in charge until you relinquish the floor. That has not happened. I don't, you want to jump on me, that's fine, but just think about what I've done. One person on this Richmond City Council has demanded the attention of all of them when it takes 4 votes to make anything happen in the city of Richmond. If you don't have 4 votes, it's not going to happen. So therefore, what is it that I possess that causes Councilmember Butt, who was a friend of mine for 18 years, to now all of a sudden be a person who hates my guts? You know why? I will never be his boy. I will never do that. I know a lot of people don't like that saying because I say it all the time. But you know what? I have to take care of the Southside first. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Damian King, and I'm running for a 4-year term for Richmond City Council. I'm a 37-year-old lifelong Richmond resident who has experienced the trials, tribulations, and turbulence that comes with living in a city like Richmond. However, we have made significant progress over the last 10 years. I'm excited about being a part of this process. One thing that our city needs is someone who understands that we are in a unique transition, a very healthy transition, and we need leadership who understands the commonality of humanity and who is willing to bring people together around common ideas. Instead of casting stones, we should be casting healthy ideas. We also have to understand that we need a well-diverse business community, one that embraces ideas like social entrepreneurship. We also have to understand that we hear a lot of talk about leadership and strength, but there's something that people don't understand when we think about strength. Strength is not always rigid. Strong leadership when it comes to governance is about flexibility. It's about openness. It's about honesty. It's about integrity. It's about leadership that's willing to stand up, voice a sound opinion based upon truth and the ability to implement pragmatism, the ability to weigh information and then feed people. See, when we talk about representation, one of the responsibilities of being a representative is also to inform the people. We have so many issues that take place in our community that that the representation fails to inform the people about and tell us an opportunity to politicize the situation. We need leadership who's willing to walk the pavement, not just during election cycles and election seasons, but throughout your entire term of service. And so I think that's extremely critical when you think about leadership and when you think about what direction that this city is going in. I want to continue to chart the course that the city is in now, a very healthy transition. I want to engage young people specifically and make them more civically aware. Thank you so much. My name is Damian King.
Good evening. My name is J.L. Myrick, and I'm running for, I've been proud to represent the city of Richmond over the past 2 years on the city council, and I'm running for another 2-year term because I want to continue working on your behalf. I'm not about talk, I'm about action and getting things done. Now, I'm proud to be the only member of the city council currently who went to high school here at Kennedy on the South Side and currently lives and is raising a family on the South Side. I've been with you every step of the way. Every time I've been on the council, when a tough decision has come up, I've sided with you. When the question was whether or not we were going to have a marijuana dispensary on the South Side, and my opponent, Mr. Bouzet, sided with big business and big money on the marijuana dispensary, I sided with the folks on the South Side. So that's where I've been. Now, the other reason I'm running, and 2 years ago I first ran for council, and I talked about how we need to invest more in young people. And when I did that, I said, we should make sure that every young person in the city of Richmond has money to go to college, because that can change people's mind states and it can guarantee that they actually look at that as a real opportunity. Because I grew up here and I know what our young people are struggling with. After I came on the council, about 2 days later, I spoke to some kids at Kennedy, and it was reminded of me that we really need to make a real investment in our young people because they don't believe that adults and people in power care. Today, there's a $35 million program available because of the work we did, because of tough negotiations to guarantee every single young person in the city of Richmond has money to go to college. It's not talk, it's action. We did it. It took tough negotiation, it took tough work, but it happened. I don't talk, I do. So let's keep moving forward. I need your support over the next 2 years. There's still a lot of work to make sure that that program is a success. We need to make sure every young person in Richmond is aware of it and is able to benefit from it. And that's going to take a lot of work from us adults to make sure that our young people are doing what they're supposed to do to be successful. But their success equals our success. So I need all of your help, regardless of how you feel about me, how you feel about the politics in that effort. And we've got a whole lot more work to do too. Thank you.
Good evening. Is Richmond ready to make a change? Is Richmond ready to make change? My name is Al Martinez. I'm running for a 4-year term. I've been in Richmond for 37 years. Started my career as a Richmond police officer. Patrol these streets, North Richmond. Know about all the businesses down Cutting Boulevard. Some of the founders, some of the communities, the pillars in the community. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to those strong pillars in the community that made a difference, that really made Richmond about pride, about structure. That's what we're talking about. We need to get back there. I remember some of the liquor stores, some of the areas that we patrolled down through the years. And those people are really grasping out right now for change. They need change. We need change. I'm about change. I spent a little over 7 years as a police officer. Went to the United States Postal Service. I recently retired from the Postal Service after 29 and a half years. I retired last Thursday as postmaster, your postmaster here in Richmond. I know leadership. I'm about leadership. I'm about effective leadership. We've heard about leadership, but there's a difference about effective leadership that concerns accountability, reliability, somebody you can depend upon, you can count upon. I raised my family right here in Richmond for over 30 years. My son's 30 years old, married. I'm still married, 30 years to my wife, Sheila. I continue to make a difference in Richmond. I'm not about a person behind the scene. I'm out front. I'm ready to be your person on the front lines and make a difference right here in Richmond. So I ask you again, is Richmond ready to make a change? Come on, let's do it.
Good evening. My name is Gail McLaughlin. I'm running for the 4-year City Council seat. Thank you to Easter Hill and to the Southside Improvement Group +1 for holding this event. Thank you to all the other candidates who are here tonight, and thank you to the audience members who are here tonight. Civic engagement and participation in our democracy in Richmond is alive and well, and you are all proof. You are here because you care, and you have concerns about our city and our local government. 10 years ago, I first ran for City Council with the same love and concern for our city in my heart as I continue to have today. Sometimes the press referred to me back then as the first Green City Council member in Richmond. And of course they meant, a member of the Green Party. But, I often think of myself back then as simply green, as inexperienced in the ways of our local politics. But let me tell you, I have learned a lot since those early days. Since 2004, it's been my privilege to serve on the council and for the last 8 years as your mayor. By any measure, Richmond is better today. I want to keep working on our collective success. Homicides down 66%, property crimes down. Let's continue reductions in all crimes. We have compelled Chevron to pay their fair share in taxes. Now we have to make sure they build a cleaner and safer refinery. We've renovated parks, we've installed solar, we've increased city services. We now need to make our neighborhoods even better by doing more street repair. And we also have to help homeowners stay in their homes. It is my honor to be serving as mayor and to run for city council with others. Thank you.
Thanks so much for inviting me. It's great to see so many people out to learn about the candidates and to learn about what we want to do for Richmond. I've served Richmond for over 25 years. Most of that as an elementary school teacher, but always with parents, with the community. In 2004, I led a march from my school down in elementary all the way to Sacramento to save or to refinance the school budget, saving the school millions of dollars, which enabled the school district to pay off the debt 10 years earlier. I also worked on the City Planning Commission, on the Point Malani Citizens Advisory Committee, and on the Rexton Parks Commission. I don't take any money from corporations, so that means I represent you, each and every voter. So a lot of people talk about Richmond and the image of Richmond. Richmond is getting better, and people are seeing that, people from the outside. I have my office on McDonald Avenue, 1021 McDonald Avenue, Bobby Bowen's Progressive Center. And I bring people to that office from out of town, and they all say, wow, this is the Iron Triangle? I thought I was supposed to be scared, but it looks beautiful. So we are bringing people and raising the image of Richmond by having people see the improvements that we've been making to our city. I led a march through Richmond for education, and when they went through, when they went down Cutting Avenue, or actually on Carlson, everyone was expecting the police to come out with batons, and they were surprised that the policemen came out to escort us. Not to confront us, but to escort us. And they saw that policemen are here to help us. So I work for cooperation, I work for community. Let's keep it up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Creer. I'm a longtime Richmond resident. I went to Kennedy High School. I go to this church right now. Yesterday, you could have saw me singing in the choir. I like to sing. I enjoy my life in Richmond. I have 4 kids. One graduated from San Jose State. One's graduating from Fresno State. My daughter goes to school. She's about to graduate in 2 years. My other son goes to school in Berkeley also. And I'm just a glad person to be here. I'm excited about this election. I'm excited about this process that we're all involved in. We've seen what's been going on in Richmond right now, and it's just really appalling. It is, it really is, and it hurts my heart, unfortunately. But when a group of people can't work together, they just can't work together. It's no use in trying to switch seats or change anything about it. But again, let me get back on key. I am a welder. By trade. My grandmother was a welder. She was a Rosary River. Her name was Mary Creer. She lived here on 30th Street. I stay here on 27th Street. Again, I love this city. I'm just excited about the opportunity to be able to run. I'm looking forward to it, to working with a group of people that can get things done. And it's up to you. You have to vote on the group of people that can get it done. You didn't make any mistakes. You didn't make any mistakes at all on your last vote. But what happened was people can't work together. They just can't work together. They just can't do it. There's no use in switching chairs. I mean, again, I love this city, and I'm heartbroken by what's going on, because when you turn on the TV, there's Richmond, all negative. There's no good. No good. No matter who's running it right now, there's no good. But again, I'm proud to be here. Again, we all have an opportunity. I'm going to vote. There's no guarantee that I'm going to vote for myself, but I'm going to vote for the best candidate around. You know, when I get there, I'm going to be happy to do so. But thank you so much.
I'm Jim Rogers, running for the 4-year seat. I am going to vote for myself. I want to tell you why. I want to first thank the challengers here for their honesty. I've run a lot of elections, very rare. People agree we're on the right track. Mayor McLaughlin mentioned about the homicide rate, lowest in 33 years. Shots fired, down by 50% from last year. Property crimes down. Potholes, still horrible, yes, still horrible, but not nearly as bad as they were 4 or 5 years ago. I've had something to do with that. I want to talk about something that politicians don't like to talk about. It's the T word, taxes. I was the key figure in 2002 or 2004 in organizing, working with my colleagues, and passing 2 taxes. What they had in common is that the regular Richmond person didn't pay a lot of it. Big businesses, Chevron, out-of-town people, rich people, whatever. They paid the lion's share of it. What did we do with that money? Well, we beefed up the police. We got on top of the potholes. We reopened libraries that were closed. We started up the Office of Neighborhood Safety. All great ideas, right? But great ideas without money mean nothing, okay? So we have progress in Richmond. We have schools that are open. I led the fight in keeping the schools open. Kennedy High, Grant, Alinda, and working with Charles Ramsey. Thank you, Charles. There. I worked with Charles. We figured out a way actually to do it without any net cost to the city of Richmond. Okay? It's very complicated, but no net cost to the city of Richmond. Contra Costa Times noted a number of years ago, Jim Rogers, to his credit, can work with his colleagues. Let me give you an example. Myself, Councilmember Butt, the master extortionist, Councilmember Myrick, we sat down with Chevron and we used the leverage we had. Chevron had $30 million on the table. We went to $90 million. We have J.L. Myrick's Promise program. We have a lot of other good stuff. And that's the kind of thing that I want to keep working on. Thank you.
Now we're going to go to the questions that are were prepared by the Southside Improvement Group. And we're going to use the same format because, as I said, we shuffle the cards around so everybody's sort of mixed up. We're going to start at, I guess we'll start at the other end and come this way so that we won't have the same people first. So Jim Rogers should have stayed up there. We have two people that are going to ask, Jim, you can come up, please. Okay. 1 minute to answer the question, okay? And we're going to have two people asking the questions. The first person to ask question is Naomi Williams.
The first question, can everybody hear me? Oh, be careful. The Southside has been neglected for many, many years. Potholes have potholes. Street lights is old and outdated, providing poor lighting. What will you do to improve the quality of the people on the South Side?
Thank you. That's a great question. We're all going to talk about stuff that we'd like to do. I'd like to talk about stuff that I have done. Kennedy High, open. I led the fight on that. Money for potholes. I was attached to this politically, and we got money from the redevelopment agency, $1 million a year for several years, into the lower income areas of Richmond, fixing potholes. Our liquor store law, I wrote that one. The law about drug-free zones, wrote that one also. I was the biggest proponent for getting more and better police. It cost us money, but look where we are now. And when you talk about police, you talk about problems, guess what? It's not Point Richmond, El Sobrani where it really matters. It is neighborhoods like the South Side. So I'd be happy to talk to you offline about what I'd like to do, but I have a record of getting things done for the parts of our city that really need our help. I enjoy doing that work, and I really hope I'll be able to do it again for 4 years. Thank you.
Okay, offline is good, but we want everybody to know what you're going to do.
Online.
So
You can use your minute to wrap up to tell us what you're going to do. Later. Mr. Creer is next. The dangerous railroad crossing at Cutting and Carlson is the only busy street in Richmond where trains and traffic are not separated. The city found the funds to repair the tunnel in Point Richmond and to build the underpass in the marina. If you're elected, what will you do to correct this injustice and improve the safety at this crossing?
Wow. I mean, that is exactly what I was going to talk about. Wow. I'm in the right place at the right time, I tell you. I live not too far from that railroad crossing. And I was talking to my wife the other night about it. I said, wow, I just wanted to be really, really nice looking over there, you know? And I'm going to get together with some people, and we're going to figure out a plan, and we're going to draw some things up. We're going to make that happen. If I'm elected, I'm going to make it happen. Even if I'm not elected, I'm going to make it happen. It's going to happen. You're going to see that when you come off that freeway down Cutting Boulevard in Richmond, you're going to see that you're welcomed in Richmond and things are taken care of. There's a lot of things in this neighborhood, in this whole community that's not taken care of, just like that. Well, Point Richmond is just wonderful. I love Point Richmond. I walk back down Point Richmond and I just go back in time to a time and place where things were peace and neat and nice and everything, and the nightlife is great. But downtown in Richmond can do the same thing. I plan to do it. Thank you.
Same question or a different one?
Yes, different question.
Okay.
The Mirror Floors project has been in the works for many years. This area is an eyesore in the Park Plaza neighborhood. What will you do to expedite the completion of this project?
Everything possible. Now, that's a flip answer, but it's also true. I am on the Planning Commission, and I will push for monies to get that done. It should have already been done. But we need to make sure that we have the Planning Commission, or rather the Planning Director on board, and make sure that he pushes to get it done. I see that we're always building along the shore instead of the interior of Richmond. We have the Terminal 1, we have the Bottoms, we have the LBN, but what we have for Central Richmond, for Southside, we don't have anything. And we need to spread the wealth and make sure that these things happen. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and that's one major one.
This is a two-part question. Richmond is the only city in West Contra Costa County that has marijuana dispensaries. Do you believe that these dispensaries are an asset to the image of Richmond? And if elected, will you vote to permit more dispensaries in Richmond, and why or why not?
I actually think we should only have 3 dispensaries. The council agreed to have, I believe it was 6. But I think we don't need that many marijuana dispensaries. There is some benefit to medical marijuana, and there is some tax benefit that the city gets from these dispensaries. But I know there has been talk, right now I believe there are only 3 medical marijuana dispensaries in the city of Richmond, but there are slots for 3 others. And I feel strongly that those 3 slots should not be filled. 3 is plenty for the city the size of Richmond. So that's how I feel about that. Was there a second part, or that filled both parts?
Why not?
Okay, thank you.
Next. Okay, this is close to me. Okay, not hard, I mean.
Come on up.
There's no park of inside of the Pullman Neighborhood Council area. I have been trying to get a park in that area for almost 40 years. That's when I was a baby. I'm only 40. Okay. Children in this neighborhood have to cross major streets in order to access a city park. The state guidelines says that a park, even at the minimum size of pocket park, should be within walking distance from the residents. If you are elected, what will you do to provide at least a minimum park for the children who reside inside of the Pullman neighborhood?
Good question. And I've known this for quite some time, even going back to the days when I was a police officer. And it's not only in that area, but certainly in Southside and some other areas as well. And that takes some information, strategizing with the community leaders, finding out what's available, how can we move on that, the accountability efforts towards that, and then put a plan together. I'm good at motivating and energizing folks to make a move, make it happen, holding them accountable, and seeing it through. I believe in that. I take care of that. That's my record. That's who I am. But certainly that is a big issue because we talk about children, we talk about education, we talk about jobs, and there's nowhere they can go and play. There's none of us that we can go somewhere. And if it is a place, it's a place that's smaller than the facility of this dining hall. And you know what it's littered with. So we got to make a difference. We got to make a difference, and I know that I can make a difference. That's what my track record is all about. And I went to church 2 blocks away from here, so I know what we can do in Richmond on the south side and make a difference.
Thank you.
If you are elected, how will you include the citizens in making your decisions?
Good question. I think in major decisions that the council makes, well, first of all, most citizens are very good in expressing their opinions, and I think a lot of people in this room are very good at that, and I appreciate that about you. But there has to be an outreach. There has to be an effort to make sure that you're engaging with the public, going to where they are, coming to the neighborhood councils, having conversations with folks, and that's what I've tried to do over the past 2 years on the council. And it's had an impact on me. I mean, earlier I mentioned the vote on the dispensary in Santa Fe. There was a time when I was supportive of it. I heard from residents in that community that they thought it was bad for the community, and I sided with them. So I've done my best to listen to the public, and I plan to continue doing that if I remain on the council for the next 2 years. But you have to make sure that you're continuing to engage people. You have to make sure that you're going to people where they are, and that's what I plan to do if I remain on the council.
Okay, next question is for Mr. King. Again, the Southside has been neglected for many years. Potholes have potholes, street lights is old and outdated, providing poor lighting. What will you do to improve the quality of the life of the people on the South Side?
Well, I definitely love the South Side. My formative years, my grandmother raised me on South 30th, so I definitely understand what your concerns are. One of the things, I'm a big fan of innovation. I don't know if the city already has this policy, but I would definitely recommend a rolling schedule of major infrastructure maintenance in this community. One that would also allow the residents to participate in monitoring how successful it is. If we have a process that allows us to continue to maintain the community on a larger scale when it comes to our roads and our lights, I think that things can be maintained on the schedule and we won't have this long period of lapse of neglect. Thank you so much.
The dangerous railroad crossing at Cutting and Carlson is the only busy street in Richmond where trains and traffic are not separated. The city found funds to repair the tunnel in Point Richmond and to build an underpass in the marina. If you're elected, what will you do to correct the injustice and improve the safety at this crossing?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is where your experience comes in. You heard all these people talk about what they'll do if they're elected. You can't do anything by yourself. It takes 4 votes. We've been trying to get that done for a long time. Mr. McMillan's pharmacy, it was supposed to come right down to his pharmacy. It's supposed to go over to the other side to Marita's. What happened is the will of this community, when I say this community, I'm talking about this elected community, chose not to do it. That's what happened. Erlinson was supposed to be an off-ramp off the freeway. You are forgotten in this community. You look at your streets. They were going to pave Cutting Boulevard here on the south side without even paving the street. They were going to stripe it without even paving the street. Carlson and Cutting has been complained about day after day after day. Ladies and gentlemen, know your city council. Without 4 votes, I don't care who you are, you can't get it done. And if you're on a council where you have 5-2 on every vote. If Councilmember Bates and myself want to go to the restroom, they will not vote for us to go there, but they'll say, you went on yourself. Thank you very much.
Okay.
The Mirror Flores project has been in the works for many years. This area is an eyesore in the Park Plaza neighborhood. What will you do to expedite the completion of this project? It started back February 2010.
I think my first action would be to find out what project that is, because I'm not familiar with it. But I think my strongest suit is working with people, and working with people that are marginalized and underrepresented, as well as working with leadership. Modernity won't allow for us to make heroes who have to do all of the heavy lifting and then in turn get the blame for failure. Leaders today have to empower people. What I would do is like what I did in North, in Central, and on the South Side. Rally the people and make their voice united so that we can approach city government with a united voice. A people that are together have a voice like a rumbling. And that is our challenge in Richmond. We fight against each other, we talk about each other, and many times it's not even true.
Thank you.
Richmond is the only city in West Contra Costa County that has marijuana dispensaries. Do you believe that these dispensaries are an asset to the image of Richmond? If elected, will you vote to permit more dispensaries in Richmond, and why or why not?
Well, I think that I haven't visited any, so I'm not that familiar with them, and I know it's something new to Richmond. Personally, I think 3 is probably enough for a population of about 110,000. I would assume they have them in Berkeley, and that some of the people go into Berkeley for their weed. I know that there are neighborhoods that are concerned about having more in the community. Some gentlemen talked to me about that recently. I'm honestly not that well informed about it, but I think 3 is enough. And I think it's wonderful that it's finally legal and that people aren't dealing on the streets or buying their medical marijuana on the streets, that there's some place that they can go to for it. And I never thought I'd see the day, I'm 65, that people could actually go and buy weed.
Again, there is no park of any size in the Pullman neighborhood. Children in this neighborhood have to cross major streets to access City Park. The state guidelines state that a park, at a minimum, a pocket park, should be within walking distance of the residents. If you are elected, what will you do to provide at least a minimum park for the children who reside in the Pullman neighborhood?
I really appreciate that question because that's one of the things I tackled. I tackled that within the last 4 years. In fact, some of you may remember I brought forward an agenda item that says, okay, give me all of the parks and where they're located, and the results came in that there were no parks there, and I said, okay, well, let's get a park there because our children should be able to have safe playgrounds. And this came, of course, at a time now that the money is all dried up, which is discouraging, and I was actually deeply saddened by that because our children deserve parks, just like any other community. It's part of having a healthy community to have a place where you can go play and it's clean. But one thing I can say is that if you look around, all those old, dilapidated parks that we did once have, for the ones that are here, they're looking great. They've been renovated. The community is coming together because even without money, the Solano Playground, the community came together and made it happen, and that's what I would recommend, that we come together and make it happen as a community.
If you are elected, how will you include the citizen in making your decisions?
That's a very good question, and for me, being out and engaged and involved and around the city is a way to ensure that you have participation and have individuals come and tell you their ideas. They have to feel that you're receptive to that, that you're willing to do that. And I can say that I've exhibited that. When you heard Jim Rogers, we came up with a collaboration to keep schools open, as well as here on the Southside, make sure that the school district had the resources to fill a new swimming pool there at the Kennedy High School Center. And working hard, I've been able to accomplish that, and I believe that people know that I'm an individual as school board president that is always out amongst all neighborhoods talking to people and being proactive, whether it's by email, by calling, by communicating, by visiting churches, by sitting out and going to community meetings. I'm always active and involved. And I believe that's the best way you can represent the citizens here and make sure their voice is heard as you deliberate and discuss issues.
Thank you very much. It's now time for the audience to ask questions of the council members. And because of the limited time that we have, don't push each other, Doubting. You saw that. Because of the limited time, we can't have each, come on guys, we can't have each candidate answer every question like we could with the mayors. I regret that, but we would be here all night. As you can see, we have a lot of candidates. So each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. The people asking the question can direct it to no more than 2 people, not to 14, no more than 2, okay? All right, ready for the first question.
Thank you. My name is Jackie Thompson. I've listened to all of you, and I pretty well have observed all of you throughout the years, whether you were on the council chamber, in the community, or just in the audience at a council meeting. And I have my own opinions, which I will reserve to keep to myself. But tonight I want to ask Damian King a question. Mr. King, I want to ask you, because I've worked with you on the Housing Authority Commission, I have a concern. And that concern is, when you got off the commission, I tried to contact you and communicate with you to find out where you were, how you were doing, what was going on, and to retrieve records that you left with that were vital to the commission. You never responded to me. I have a concern about that because as a constituent, I will keep that in my mind if you sit on this council, and it will make me think that you will neglect your duties. And I need you to convince me that I should change my mind about how I'm thinking right now. The question is, how can you convince me to change my mind that you will not do what you did on the commission? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I don't labor to convince anybody to do anything. I think that when I served as a commissioner on the Richmond Housing Authority, it was just as much dysfunction in there as it was on this current city council. And so I will say that that young man right there is one of the primary reasons why there was a breakdown in communication between you and I. And concerning the issue with vital records, it was actually, some important information that was leaked, that was going towards a grievance procedure policy that I was drafting on behalf of the commission, and I apologize. Simply, I take ownership for that, and also my job called for a lot of responsibility. I'm a hard skills development specialist for Rubicon programs, and I'm all throughout the county, and so I just got neglectful and lapsed in my mind, and I deeply apologize for that. But with regards to how I would serve this community, given the opportunity, I would serve this community like as I always have, diligently and full of service. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Thompson, you took half my question. It was to you, Mr. King. I am.
No.
How's that? Is that better? Mr. King, now that was part of my question for you too. If you were to be voted in a 4-year term for a city councilman, would we be able to know that you're going to fulfill that 4-year term and not leave us in the lurch?
Absolutely. I definitely would serve that full 4-year term. Again, the circumstances surrounding my removal from the Housing Authority Commission was just work related. You missed too many meetings. You can't no longer participate as far as with the Housing Commission. So again, I deeply apologize for that, but I labor diligently. One of my biggest concerns for the Richmond community is not only to ensure that we have adequate, affordable housing for our residents, but that we have that we introduce service-enriched housing models in this community that will allow the people, the citizens, the residents who reside in those communities to continue to thrive and have access to service. There's a lot of people in this community who aren't even aware of some of the services that they have living in some of our housing projects. So I would definitely propose an idea where we introduce service navigation education, and you also, and I'm an open book, and I receive constructive criticism really well, and I will make the necessary adjustments. So absolutely, I would serve this community with everything that I have.
Can I ask
Don't hit her.
It's spousal abuse. This is for any one of y'all that want to answer this question. This is for any one of y'all that want to answer this question. Because right now, our community, our state, our government is looking at our councils, right? And how y'all govern yourself. And our community is looking at the individuals that's meant to take these seats. Are y'all going to pay attention to the people? Or are you going to turn your back on the people when you see fit at any given time with your personal views? Because like it's principles, not personalities, like I told the mayors. Right now, it's crucial in our town to be economically sound and an energy base for any business to be business friendly here and serve the whole community and not your just focus areas or agendas or groups or who you're serving. Because our communities have suffered too long with our council serving their friends and taking care of other groups. We have to take care of our whole city. And I really want to hear what y'all plan is. Any two can answer that.
I'm going to answer that one because anybody that knows Corky Bouzet knows that I'm the go-to man. If you go to City Hall, I will be in my office almost every day. I'm not going to put it on my business or my job. I put that alongside of me. My office is open every day, Saturday and Sunday, and I meet with people on a consistent basis. As I said to you, Mr. Antoine, I brought a $300 million project, 5 years of jobs. No other council person ever in the history of Richmond can say that. When you hear taking care of your friends, it's like when Councilmember Butt spends $2.5 million on Riggersloft, which is a tin building, when we can't fix the underpass at Carlson and Cuddy, or we can't get a park here, but we got to go over to the Solano Play Park, you know, when most of the time they don't even want you over there. But, you know, I think that we have to represent the people. There's too much buddy system going on. Look at Point Richmond, look at the Southside, answer your question.
Okay. First up,
there you go. I'm learning, getting back up. All right. When I served on the city council back in the 90s, I served with Nat Bates, Tom Butt, Richard Griffin, McMillan, a number of people that are, Rogers got elected when I did. Who else? Who am I missing? No, Corky wasn't there yet. I've known Corky about 35 years. I've been in Point Richmond and Richmond since 1969. I've watched Tom Butt's children grow up. I've been to his home, he's been to my home. I get along with Tom Butt, I get along with Nat Bates. I was friends with Nat Bates' wife who passed away. I was always able to work things out in a fairly amicable way with council members. Since I have come back and started attending meetings, my jaw has dropped. I've gone, oh my gosh, I can't believe their horrible behavior. It's despicable. I can't believe that people sit at council meetings and work on blogs or emails. They're on their cell phones. There's got to be a law against that. I'm sure there is.
I have a lot of concerns relative to the residents of the city of Richmond. You know, we worked many years to build the new city hall, and one of the things that I realized, for instance, when some of the residents of our subsidized housing come and they're in wheelchairs and on walkers, And I've spoken with several of the council members about the rules of the ADA, the American Disabled Association. Even I had to go get me another leg. But there are not enough rails across from the city hall to the auditorium and this kind of stuff. And some people think that we have the nicest city hall, but you go outside and you drive down Barrett, one of the worst looking lots is the one in front of City Hall, okay? Now, we are in a drought. You got all them dry weeds out there, and somebody on the arsonist to come. What is the question? The question is, how can you do something with our area around the city hall so that it's more accessible to those of us who have issues and complaints and this kind of stuff? We need more safety in that area.
So this is to anybody, that's why I jumped up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you get the big.
Better be ready to do something now.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. One of the things that I really value is community input. I value it so much that when the community give me input, I work on it. One of the input that you gave was about the ADA doors at the Kennedy Center. And when that same night, I wrote to the city manager, and I said, we really have to do something about it, and it's been fixed, right? Same thing with the city hall. You've mentioned that a few times, and I've emailed the city manager about this, and it's a process. The other thing that's, of course, that matters, the community talked about, it's dangerous to cross some of the streets like Barrett, for example. The kids are coming out of Lavanya Dijon, and it's scary. And they said, can we just get some more crosswalks? And I had a meeting with community and the city manager and staff, and we made that happen. So I listen, and I'm listening now, and I'll continue to listen to you all.
I want to briefly answer that as well, because Texany and I have had a lot of conversations about both of these issues. And on the ADA issue, I at the beginning of the year put an item on the agenda for our staff to look into it, and we passed an item unanimously, I think, a few months ago, directing staff to find out, to investigate who the folks were that who we contracted with to do the Civic Center Plaza in the first place, and to go after them and say, we expect you by law to make this ADA. You should have made it ADA in the first place, and now we're going to make sure that you go back and do that, and we're going to do it at their cost instead of the taxpayers' cost of the city of Richmond. So that's the strategy that we're going forward with. I was happy and proud to take the leadership in doing that. We're not finished with it yet. There's still more work to do, but it is something that I made sure that we acted upon, because again, I'm not about talking, I'm about acting.
Good evening. My question is for Mr. Creer, Mr. Martinez, two people? Okay, Mr. Creer and Mr. Washington. Having heard the council members that are here tonight said that, that they can't work together, right? And I've heard some say there's no money. What would you specifically do, for example, to put the park in the neighborhood that the lady was talking about? There's no money, and then your council members, they can't work together. What are you going to do? The two of you, coming to the council new, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Like, put a park with no money. How are you going to do it?
That's a very good answer. Very good question, rather. There's money. There is money.
Okay.
We can find the money. We have to go get the money. There's citizens here with the money, and they'd love to build a park any place you want it. We have to have a consensus among everybody to go do it. Me and Washington, me and Henry, I'm quite sure we could do it. If we got in together, that would be good. Yeah. So we can work with the other. We can work with the other few people. We can work with them. Look at this. We got volunteers right now that want to work with us, and we're looking forward to it. I'm up for the task. I'm telling you, I really am. Again, I'm running for the 2-year seat, and I'm with good company. But they're running on their record. I'm running on my own dream, my own wish, my own city. I love this city. I live here, I work here. I'll always live here. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'll work for this. I'll find a part. I'll find a part.
You don't have to wait till election either.
That's right.
I think it's obvious that the council has challenges working together. What's also obvious is that some of the members on the council are not as close to the community as they communicate.
All right, Henry.
So if you can't work on the council, and we don't see you in the streets listening, but rather talking, how can anything get done? I'm about collaboration. I'm about being a bridge, if I may.
All right.
And I think my local social justice work bears that out. It's time to do more listening and produce more fruit. Lately, our fruit has been all theory and not much practice.
My question is an easy one. It's a yes or no, and I would like everyone to respond to that. You don't have to get up. My question is...
Only to two.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Only to two.
So if elected, do you sign a pledge for term limit for city council? It's a yes or no question.
I didn't understand the question.
If elected as a city council member, would you sign a pledge for term limits for city council?
For term limits.
All in favor of term limits, raise your hand. All the ones that are not in favor of term limits, don't raise your hand. Rules. This is just a different rule, just for this one question. You say yes or no.
Can you clarify? Would it be on the ballot where the citizens would vote for a term limit?
It's signing a pledge.
Just a pledge?
Yes.
Just a pledge. People won't respond to that.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Next question. They're not going to answer, so next question.
No one's answering?
Oh, I answered it. I'll answer it. I don't support term limits. I think the voters make a...
She said a yes or no.
Okay,
Let
no.
him answer it. Let him answer.
What are the rules?
Then the next question.
Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kimberly Parker, and I'm looking at these faces, and I'm looking around, and my family's been in this neighborhood when there were no houses, you know, when we played in the lots. And I started crying over there, and I tried to get up and ask the question. There are people that love this city. I represent a demographic of people that we grew up in these neighborhoods, and we're not in here, and we love this city. I could get on Facebook and get a turnout of people who love this city, and guess what? They're not all black. When I grew up, this was an integrated town.
Give me a question.
Yeah, so my question is, I'm addressing it to Henry Washington and Anthony Creer. You all know these people. What are we going to do to change? My mom is this group, and she's active on these councils. If I say my name, you know my mom. But who's missing? Where are the young people at?
Say it.
So what are you going to do to get us back to being an integrated Richmond? My friends are Chinese, Japanese. We grew up together. We went to school together. What are we going to do to get this group looking more like that? And then what are we going to do to get the young people who love this city? And they have money, and they're business owners, and still around this place, but they don't show up in here. So what are we going to do to get them?
We're going to work hard to get them. When they see change, they'll embrace change. When they see things happening, they'll embrace things that are happening. But if they see an argument, they run from that. If they see people bickering, they run. They take off. They find other things to do. A lot of children aren't looking for an argument, just like our community is not looking for an argument. We're looking for change. We're looking for options. The city has potential, but potential is only as good as the people who execute it. If you can't execute, the potential is worthless. And I'm just looking forward to be a part, to be a part of the problem, to be a part of solving the problem. You got me? You got me. Okay, help me out. Again, I'm very excited about this opportunity, and I'm gonna let Henry have it from here on out. Thank you.
That was a YouTube moment.
Thank you for the question, and I think I'll refer back to a statement I made earlier, that modernity is dictating where we must go. It is unfortunate that some of us cannot change our spots, but some type of compromise and growth is the only way to merge leaders of today and leaders of tomorrow. I'm so happy to see all of the young people represented in this event, as well as those mature and middle-aged, whatever we're calling ourselves. But my children's friends are not first called by their ethnicity, like was commonplace when I grew up. George is George, Sally is Sally. And if we're not ready for that, I think we're going to lose our youth altogether.
I heard somebody said it takes a village, and that's exactly what it takes. I'm sorry.
Well, my question has to do with, I've heard a lot about everyone will fight for the parks and to fix things that didn't happen in the list of projects that were already approved, and that's all great. I'm not putting that down. But there's a $7 million deficit in this city, and so what I haven't heard is a real approach to getting jobs. See, my son is not coming back to Richmond because there's no job here for him. And even if you have a plan to educate them, what's going to keep them here? We are not enjoying what we could enjoy like other cities. We're not bringing tech businesses in here. We're worried about marijuana industries, but what that illuminates is the fact that there's not a strong approach to attracting another kind of business. It doesn't have to be marijuana. I challenge Mr. Bose, not you because you spoke of a project, so I want to give someone else on the panel. I would like to hear two people talk about a tangible. Don't say you'll fight for it, because I've heard that and I believe you. But I need to hear something tangible if you're going to speak to it. Thank you.
That's a really good question. Number one, we have a $7 million structural deficit. We're going to end the year with $12 million in the bank. $7 million sounds pretty bad, but look at the option. How do we reduce that? We fire police, fire librarians, park people, recreation people, fire people, etc., etc. I'm not down with that program. So next time somebody tells you about how we're responsible for a $7 million structural deficit, which we have, remember, end of the year, $12 million in the bank. In terms of the job issue, it used to be pretty simple. You go out, you throw a bunch of money at some business, they come here, they give us a bunch of jobs. It doesn't work like that anymore, okay? The good jobs are ones that come to a community where the crime is low, the parks are good, the schools are good, the libraries are good. We have the chance to do that. And we, by the way, put a ballot measure on to get rid of some of the people that we laid off in police, fire, etc. It's on the ballot, and I hope we pass it. Sales tax, they'll bring a bunch of people back, $7.5 million.
So I just want to address the fact that there was a recent article in the Contra Costa Times about how food business is booming in Richmond. We have some new warehouses that are expanding. We have the Whole Foods warehouse. We have the Blue Apron warehouse, which has just put out a call for 400 new jobs. We also have a new shoe manufacturer coming to Richmond. We have a chicken and waffles restaurant coming on McDonald's Avenue. We have lots of small businesses that are thriving. So and of course our mid-sized businesses like Galaxy Desserts and and Zoe's Cookies. We have a lot happening in Richmond. We have to do more. We do have to do a better job at advertising. We got a wonderful San Francisco Business Weekly magazine that was promoting all our businesses. We have to do more of that, and I'm thinking a website that is devoted to our business attraction would be great.
I have an adolescent son, and we often get the Parks and Rec offerings in the mail, and you know, what's available for adolescents is very bad. And so it's something of concern. A lot of us parents go to El Cerrito, go to other places to take advantage of their Parks and Rec because we don't have enough for our adolescents, and then we're asking of what's happening to them when they get older because there isn't enough investment in them now. Jill and I have been a part of a group at Rise Center that is looking at how can we raise some money to do something about this, because obviously there's not enough money in the budget now. So my question is for Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Bouzet. We haven't seen you at those meetings. I'd love to know what your thoughts are in terms of doing more investments and possibly, you know, putting a measure on the ballot to get more money for Parks and Rec for children and adolescents especially.
Thank you for the question. It's one that is serious and needs to be addressed, and it doesn't really start with a ballot measure. It starts with the fact that the city of Richmond had a 40% assessed valuation decline and has lost tens of millions of dollars because no one is going to deal with the Prop 8 reductions that have been just aggressively pursued by the county assessor, Gress Kramer, and Bob Campbell, the county auditor. And I'm already leading the charge to get that reversed and to be able to bring the stabilization back. Most people don't know the city of San Pablo had a 14.5 AV increase just last year. Makes no sense for the city of Richmond just to have had 8.7. In addition, 2 years ago, Richmond had a minus 16.5 assessed valuation decline. That kills the ability when you have a 21% tax increment need here. So that's where it really starts, because it has to be sustainable, it has to be uniform. A sales tax that lasts 5 to 7 years is not really addressing the systemic issue, and I'm ready to do it like I tackled in school.
Thank you very much for your question, young lady. And where did you go? Oh, there you are. I don't know whether you know it or not, but I am the liaison to the Council for Parks and Recreation. I've never seen you at my Parks and Recreation meeting. If you have those kinds of questions, you should bring those to the Parks and Rec board. With that board, we can move forward. But just for your information, I'm one of the only people that really fought for NIAD when they were trying to shut them down. I'm the person that fought for the recreation center over the old fire station. When it comes to children that have disabilities, that's my #1 issue. Check the last budget. If you watch the council, I was the one that said those people need to stay in the budget. And when I say those people, I'm talking about young people. We cannot stop with young people. We must take that all the way through adulthood. We must make sure that they're job ready. We must make sure that they're living ready. That is what our job is. But you hear all these people talk this stuff. I do it. I do it. Thank you very much.
I also read the paper, Mrs. McLaughlin, about all the new jobs. That they're in small categories, but they are coming. I have some concerns on some of the decisions that the council has made regarding minimum wage, the 2% soda tax, and the fact that there was no community input when those things were done. Some things that are taking place at the council are taking place because there's no community input, I'm sorry. And we're not given an opportunity to voice how we feel about some of the decisions. I'm all in favor of a minimum wage, but I feel that that should have been put on the ballot so that I, as a citizen of Richmond, could have an opportunity to vote on it and to have some say. And also about the jobs. They are coming, but I want to know more about what you can do about our 10% unemployment rate. And I would like to address this question to Mr. Ramsey and also to you about the consensus of decisions being made without public input.
Who was you? You who?
Pointing to me, I think. No, I said Mrs. McLaughlin. Yeah, I heard you say
Thank you, Jen. Actually, we have a 12% unemployment rate in Richmond, and it's a big, well, no, I'll show you the statistics. Please let me finish responding. I don't interrupt you, so that's part
Not
of
a council meeting.
civility. If you don't agree with it, just say it. Because can I start over again? Because I just was interrupted, and I try to be respectful of everybody. And so could you just start over? If they disagree, they can say it during their time. But I have the statistics showing from our preliminary official statement that actually does the assessments. It knows every single unemployment rate in the area, and I stand by my numbers. But your question really was addressing strategies and approaches that we need to do. I think first and foremost, and the city's done a good job, cities have to be safe. People are not going to move to any community unless they have safe streets and safe communities, and I want to commend the whole council for really reducing crime in the city. I think that's something they should be commended for. What I don't think we have done a really good job is in being able to find ways to bring businesses to the community. And I believe that they need to partner with us even stronger in the schools, because safe streets and good schools bring families to these communities, and they'll want to open up and give an opportunities. And I believe working through the city, we need to expand it through the planning department. We need to work also on how we build up the subsidized housing and have families there. We have tons of vacancies in a lot of these places, and we need to improve that so that we can make sure there's opportunity for everybody.
Okay, just first of all, my understanding from many sources is that our unemployment rate is 10.1, but we have a difference of opinion on that. In terms of getting input, and the soda tax, of course, did not pass in the city of Richmond. That it was a ballot measure. There was a lot of engagement with the community throughout a year of campaigning on that. And I think it moved forward as an education campaign, even though it didn't pass, people learned a lot. In terms of the minimum wage, I believe that was at the council meeting maybe for 4 meetings, because there was a lot of discussion and a lot of differences of opinion on how to move it forward. I think polls have shown that the majority of people in Richmond, the vast majority, like something like 76% of Richmond residents believe a minimum wage is in the interest of the city and the people of Richmond. And it also helps us with jobs, and because it puts money in people's pockets so they can spend in our local economy and more jobs can be created.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the question area. Thank you to the people that asked the questions and to the council members. Now we're going to have the 1-minute wrap-up from each candidate, and we're starting with Mr. Ramsey.
30 seconds. Right.
My father, retired Judge Henry Ramsey, who helped to integrate the district attorney's office, passed away earlier this year. But I remember last year when I was speaking before BAPAC, he talked about how Richmond gave him the opportunity to make him the individual who he was. I want to see that for everyone here in the city of Richmond. I was raised in this community, raised in these neighborhoods, and we have a great future ahead of us. I want your vote. I want to be able to let you know I will be here to listen, to be able to address your issues, and to make Richmond a stronger and better place. No one has all the answers. No one has all the solutions. We have to work together. We have to work collectively. If you look at the work I've done, especially on the Southside over the last 20 years, I've done a tremendous job in turning around the schools, making the improvements. And when people have come to me, I've responded. I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to be here to be someone that you can be proud of and know that you can work with. I would really have your vote on November 4th. Thank you again. And thank you for coming in.
Thanks to the committee once again for putting this on. Thank you all for coming out here. I want to just say, don't vote for people just because they were born and raised here and you played, basketball in high school with them. Vote for people who made policies that have made Richmond better. Look at the streets. Look at my policies. Look at my record. I work with children. That's my goal, is to make their lives better, and that's what I've done. We brought policies to ban the box. The street here on 37th Street, street has been paved for the first time in 38 years. There was a gentleman who came out and said, this street hasn't been paved in 38 years. but it has been paid within the last 4 years that I've been on the city council. We have businesses that are moving here because Richmond is looking good. Richmond is looking and feeling so much better because of our crime, because we have individuals who are devoted to you. I don't take corporate money, so I'm devoted and beholden only to you. Those are the kind of people you need on the city council. People who are going to be working hard to make Richmond better, and they've been working hard for you because they're down for you, and that's me. Please give me your vote.
Again, I want to thank you for putting this on. One thing that we absolutely have to do is start from the very top. We need to have some stability on the Richmond City Council, stability in the mayor's office. We need to work and improve our infrastructure throughout the city. I'm sure that people have worked hard on potholes, but just going up around Hilltop, going through central Richmond, the roads are just embarrassing. It's hideous. One thing that I'm very concerned about is Doctors Hospital closing. And I know a lot of people have talked about that. I don't know what I personally could do about that, but I do know that the city of Richmond, all of our fire personnel, we don't have EMTs on any of our trucks. And El Cerrito, Con Fire, Pinole, they all have EMTs. And if you're going to have a population that's having problems, I do believe you need a first responder EMTs on your fire.
I believe it's absolutely okay to vote for a Richmond native. I want to thank all of you for changing Richmond and for helping with violence and all of the other benefits that the city has had. If I could, again, I want to reiterate, I see myself as a bridge. I see myself as a part of transcreation. That's where you develop a new way of communicating to a new audience. We need a new way of communicating. We're going to have to win back our city by proving that we can work together. Thank you for this time, and thank you for putting this on.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out tonight, and I hope that you'll return me to City Council. I'm going to tell you something. Councilmember Nat Bates, who will be your mayor, I hope that I'm back there working with him so we can change the way the City Council works. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Doctors Hospital. Everybody's complaining about it. Tom Butt took the exact total amount of money to give to Marine Energy instead of giving it to Doctors Hospital. These three people, Myrick and Rogers, they all voted, but nobody said, what about Doctors Hospital? What about Doctors Hospital? That's what I do at the council. Nuts and bolts. You'll never see me abstain on anything. I'm with you all the way. When you call Corky, he's there for you. You might not like the way I get it there, but I do get it there in the end. And yes, you're right. You should vote for Richmond people because I think that we're bringing something. But on that 37th Street, I don't care what Mrs. Beckel said. Councilmember Nat Bates got 37th Street paved. So let's put the credit where the credit's due. And I appreciate it, but please vote back for me because I tell you, it's going to be fun with Mayor Bates and myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Damian King. I heard someone mention something about where's our youth. See that young man over there? He didn't have a choice. He was going to be here with me this morning. He didn't have an option. This evening, excuse me. So he didn't have an option. We talk a lot about jobs. We talk about bringing a lot of different jobs to the community. It doesn't matter what kind of jobs you bring to the community if our community doesn't have the skill set to perform those jobs. That's extremely important that we merge with our education, with our schools, with our labor unions to develop hard skills for our communities. It doesn't matter if we bring jobs here and people in our community can't even pass the drug test, and leadership is afraid to speak out about that because they don't want to lose votes. What does leadership do? Lead. You lead by example. You don't just talk about it, you be about it. We have a whole generation of young people who are misguided and undecided, overexposed and undereducated, overexposed to the crime and violence and the past reputation of Richmond, and undereducated about our civic process. Some people in this community don't even know what the current mayor looks like. That has to change. Vote for Damian King in 2014.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming out and listening to each and every one of us tonight. A few things. First, I want to respond to some things that have been said. I think it's been mentioned multiple times about the fact that the council has issues and can't work together. Over the 2 years I've been on the council, I've worked with every single one of the members that are up there with me, and I have not shied away from disagreeing with anybody if I disagreed with them and supporting them when I support them. Even Mr. Bouzet, who decided to run for my seat instead of running for his own seat. I worked with him when we were on the same